Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going fishing with a local celebrity, well, national celebrity, right? We got Harrison Mevis here from the University of Missouri, the Thiccer kicker, and today we're gonna get after some thicker bass, right? They're on their beds right now. What we're trying to get done, we're trying to get some nice bass, some cool underwater footage. Let's check it out, see if we can't catch a couple, right? See if we can't get the Thiccer kicker on some bass. So we're out on Lake Tippecanoe. The water right now has shot up like 8-9 degrees in as little as 3 or 4 days. This is the third day of a warming trend where we went from 40 degrees and raining sideways every day to 80 degrees and sunny. And what it's caused is a mass wave of fish to come in shallow very quickly. Some of these fish have been hanging out in these brutal conditions shallow, but really they've been off. They haven't wanted to bite. They haven't wanted to do anything. We got to the ramp today, had all kinds of problems with my boat, which I've had out all spring, no problems. Thus far, the boat has not worked. Batteries are messed up, electrical failures. I almost dove headfirst into the water. How's it going? So when we get to our first spot, we notice immediately that there's some fish on the beds, but the water on Tippecanoe right now and the water everywhere has this green algae funk all over the bottom. You can see bass beds really good, but it makes presenting lures really, really hard. So we go through getting the camera underwater, getting the camera set up on the bed, and what I really like about this footage is it gives you an example of bass behavior. Now, whenever you're bed fishing, if that fish is locked onto a bed, it is catchable. It might take you 30 casts, it might take you 1 cast, it might take you 45 minutes. But that is a catchable fish. And we can see this fish right here is an agitated fish because as soon as I start fishing this megabass dark sleeper on its bed, I get immediate reactions. That fish's fins are flaring, it is mad, you can see that in its body language. It's also circling the nest. When fish get really agitated, they'll tightly circle on that nest. And what I'm doing is I'm pitching that dark sleeper in, and I'm trying to make contact with that fish with the bait. I'm trying to drag that bait right through the middle of the nest. There's always one spot on a bed that will make a fish really, really, really agitated if you hit that spot. You can see here, this fish is bumping the bait. He's nosing down on the bait. He hasn't wanted to fully commit yet, but repeated casts are getting him now more engaged on that bait every time. This is an aggressive fish. It's a catchable fish. Now we want to make sure we present the bait in a way that makes him want to eat that bait. Now, here we change our angle a little bit. And sometimes an angle change is everything you need, and you see immediately on this angle change, it's bringing it more across the part of the bed where the fish is getting agitated, right? So, with this angle change, this fish is showing definite signs of aggression. He's nipping at the bait. Now I just need to get him to fully commit. And the dark sleeper does a great job of this. Number one, it is the most weedless bait that I can think of. That top fin hides that hook, and what it does is it gives a ultimate realistic profile that comes through anything. Texas rig would have a ton of trash on it, jig would have a ton of trash on it in this kind of water. That dark sleeper comes right through this. Got real close on this one. We're about a pitch or two away here from catching this fish, right? Let that dark sleeper sit in the bed. Almost there. He got it out of the bed. It keeps coming back, right? We want to really, really, really agitate that fish and make it bite. What you're trying to do when you're bed fishing is force the hand of the fish to either remove the threat by eating it or remove the threat out of the bed, and then you catch the fish. So we move the boat about 25 yards down the bank. We find another bed. Now we are finding the beds in 5 to 6 feet of water up against weed edges. And I believe the fish have nested and bed down this year deeper because of the just brutal conditions we've had in the spring. Now, immediately on these first couple pitches with this bass, we see a change in behavior with this bass. He's far more agitated. There were a lot more sunfish around this bass, so he's already amped up. Anytime you have a bass on the bed and there are sunfish around, that fish is going to bite a lot faster than a fish that's totally by itself, because that fish feels agitated and ready to make an attack. Now, I'm playing with this fish. I could have had him right there. He bit that enough to get the hook, but I wanted to get some good footage, some good bass behavior here on the bed. Harrison's flipping this bait in here. I'm filming it underwater. So what we've got here, is a very agitated bass that wants to remove that threat. Now, if you talk about the spot on a spot in a bed, right? Here in this bed, you can see that white rock in the middle. Anytime that bait gets close to that white rock, that bass becomes super agitated, and that's because that's the spot where he's going to eventually have eggs attached. When a female comes into that bed, those white rocks are where that female is going to lay those eggs so that he can watch those eggs. Got him right there. Touch that white rock, bang. Game over. So we move the boat another 50 yards down the bank, find another bed in a little bit shallower water. Now, I made repeated casts with the dark sleeper to this fish, and it was really turned off. So I picked up my second go-to bait in this situation, which is a Yum Crop Happy 3.5 inch, and I Nico rig it with a VMC Half Moon weight and 1/8 ounce, and that VMC Nico hook. And I do this for one reason and one reason only. That Half Moon weight allows sound transmission. It is a tungsten weight that is banging against those rocks, and it is making a clicking sound just like a crawfish would in that bed. Now, the water being in the low 60s here is crawfish hatch season, right? Those crawfish have come out, they've molted, they're all over the place in shallow water, and that clicking sound of that bait hitting the rocks, and let's listen to it here. Really drive a bass nuts. And this fish was a lot more neutral than the two other ones we had caught in this window. So we got Harrison pitching this bait in here. This bass is getting really agitated. He's biting the pinchers of the crawfish. He's not taking the whole bait yet, but he will here in a second. It's only a matter of time. That clacking of the weight against the rocks has made all of the difference, right? And you get that nice thud in here in the rocks. And you can hear that thing hitting the rocks. That fish is getting really aggressive. He hasn't fully committed yet, but he's not too far away. I really like Nico rigs bed fishing, especially small creature baits and small crawfish baits, because they're just a hyper realistic presentation. They don't have that jig head on them. They're very unassuming. They're very finesse. But you can do a lot with that bait, right? That repeated clicking here from that weight on the rocks is a real difference for a fish that's in a more neutral mood or not as aggressive, right? Plus, with the water clarity here that we have, it's not fantastic, but it's doable. This is a very visible bait in that water. Those bright blue claws in there really stand out. You can have a good visual reference and cue. I am a natural baits guy when I'm fishing beds. I don't think you need like a white tube or a white worm or a white jig because it's unnatural to that fish. I feel like fish bite a lot quicker, and there we just got him right there if it's a natural color.
There's one.
Put it right there, right on. There we go. Look at that one. Nice, fat sandwich right there. Woohoo! The Thiccer sunfish, the Thiccer kicker. So, as we travel down the bank, we find a ton of fish on beds, but the females and the males are rolling on the beds, which means that they're actually laying milt on the bed. They're actually in the act of spawning. You don't want to mess up a fishery doing that. So we pick up the sunfish rods and we start hitting the docks and the shallows because there's a ton of sunfish. We figured we'd have a little fun here, leave the bass alone, which is a smart decision.
No way, you got that's good for you. You got two already.
I might have to put just a no weight on that one.
Another one. Put a no on.
Throw it over there by mine, there's a bunch. There. That one.
You got 3 to my 1.
That's another nice one right there. There we go, son. Another nice eater. Ready. Got another one, folks. Nice gills. We're getting a mess here with the Thiccer kicker, except, open that for me. We're working for him. Having to work for him. Right here.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, I guess I got tangled up 5 different times.
Nice, another red ear. Actually, that's a green sunfish. No.
You turn. Yeah. Well, I don't think they're gonna take it. I think they're gonna keep swimming. Yeah. They didn't turn. They were turning a little bit, but a little late.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed fishing with us today. I hope you enjoyed the underwater footage. The bass are just starting to spawn right now in area lakes, so I'm going to get out and try to get some more underwater footage. If you guys like that, shout it out in the comment section. Let me know what baits you want to see me throw underwater. Water's warming up. I'll get the mask and fins on. We'll go underwater and check out some new baits. So in the comments, tell us what baits you want us to check out underwater. Tell me what baits you want to see in action, and we'll get that done, right? We're here, we're trying to grow. We're up to 300 subs right now. We thank you guys for that. We're going to get back into regular content. Thanks so much for your time, guys.